Hello, my name is Bill Keach from Sunbelt Computer Software, and today I'd just like to discuss accessing OpenAI using PLB. So in this case, we're going to use a sample program that will actually interact with the OpenAI chatbot. So in this case, we have a program where we can ask a question. Previously, I've asked the question of what are some of the color names for red. We can ask this by using speech recognition, which was covered in a previous video. What are some of the names for the color green? We ask, and then we'll get a response back. And we'll display these in the card format, leaving a button to remove the questions or responses that we're not interested in. So now let's look at the program that actually performed these actions. First of all, we're accessing the OpenAI by a routine written in JavaScript. This is the easiest way because, number one, it allows us asynchronous access to GPT because our response won't come back instantaneously, and we still might want to do things while the user is waiting for the response. The second advantage of using JavaScript is the fact that most examples given on the Open AI website are going to be written in JavaScript. So in this case, it's fairly simplistic. We expect the question, the API key. We then create something to be sent to the ChatGPT. It ends up being sent, and then we end up waiting the response. When the response comes in, we end up taking the data that gets back, sticking it into a div that we've created, setting up a click event, and then firing the click event against that div. And up here at the top, we of course see that we've created the response div right up there. Now let's talk about how we actually integrate that with the PLP program. So if you've seen the previous video on speech recognition, you'll find that we use the same techniques here as we did with speech recognition. Over in the PLP program side, we start by loading up our support and setting an event for being able to access the JavaScript data and routines. When the Ask the Question button is pressed, we end up running this function here, where what we do is we get the question that's given to us. We then make sure that we are able to set in the chat response the empty answer so that we know whether an answer has come back or not. We then set up our API key, which is required to be able to access the OpenAI interface. The API key is something that you will need to provide and can be placed right here at the API key area in the sample program. Back at the Ask the Question routine, we then make sure, in this case, I'm just checking to make sure that there's less than 2,000 characters in the question and that we have actually some characters in the question. I then call a routine that will add the question as a card. Then we call the JavaScript routine that will actually go and ask the question of the ChatGPT. So we end up setting a text call that's going to be run under JavaScript. We then run the JavaScript and flush the messages, and we then clear out the question. On the HTML side, this causes this routine to be run with the question stuck in user question and the API key, which, as we talked about, it comes here. It will actually go ask, doing a post, the ChatGPT. And during that, it will also give the role of the system, which is you're being a helpful assistant, and of course the actual user question. This portion right here can be changed to change what ChatGPT will do for you. When the answer comes back, we will have an event that will come in here. The event will end up calling this click event right here that we set up here by dispatching it. So we're looking for chat response. Chat response is being matched right here. And then what we'll do is we'll get the data that has returned to us from chat response and then add the card that gives the data. And that's pretty much the entire cycle of what needs to go on to talk to the chatbot of OpenAI. So the question is, now that we're able to talk to it, what potentially can we do with OpenAI under PLB? Well, the examples that were given end up allowing us, as an example on the OpenAI site, to do a large number of data processing capabilities on big blocks of data. Writing memos, doing translations, writing up interview questions. All this can be done in the background by taking a block of data through PLB, processing it through OpenGTP, and getting the response back. In some cases, you may want to be taking a large amount of data contained within inside various files and sending it to ChatGPT to then wind it down to a smaller, more easily accessible chunks of data. But there's certainly lots of examples out there in the web of how to use ChatGPT to improve the functionality of your programs. The ChatGPT program is available on GitHub under the Sunbelt PLB samples. And by going to OpenAI and getting yourself a key, as I said, that needs to be stuck in up here, you too can test this program out to see what you might want to use OpenAI for using PLB. Thank you very much. Have a good day.